I want to tell you about my dream last night because I feel like there's symbolism in it for somebody, okay? So I was sleeping, yada yada yada. I went to bed with a migraine actually. And while I was sleeping, I was having a dream, and the dream, it was like trigger after trigger after trigger after trigger. This wasn't a scary dream. This wasn't a bad dream. If anything, it was a beautiful dream. Throughout this dream, I was just being triggered over and over and over and over and over again, and I couldn't figure out how to solve the issues that I was having. It was like I would find what looked like a solution, but it wasn't the solution for me. For example, I was at a gas station at one point in the dream. I'm literally getting chills. I was at a gas station at one point in the dream, and I needed a way home. And there were so many people around me that I knew that could have brought me home, but God kept saying, no, like, these people cannot bring you home. You need to find a way home. Okay. And so I need to take this bike, and this bike was somebody else's. This bike was not mine, but I walk up to it, and like, it's a bike that's way too big for me, right? But in my head, the solution that I came up with was I need to take this bike. And then I sat with it for a second, and I made a moral decision. I was like, this is not my bike. I'm not going to take this bike. This is somebody else's bike. This is somebody else's ride home. Okay. I am not going to take this bike from this gas station. And then I started praying, and I said, God, I need you to help me. Like, I know that you're telling me that I need to find a way home, but I need you to help me find a way home. And throughout it, he was just like, trust me, trust me, trust me, trust me, trust me. I woke up, and I don't think in this dream I had found a solution. Like, I had found the way home, but now that I'm sitting with this, I'm like, the way home was literally just asking God for help. Like, we think that God is putting us in certain situations so that we could figure it out ourselves, when in reality, we need to be reminded consistently that God is the way, right? God is the truth. He said, trust me, trust me, trust me. Throughout the dream, I kept hearing him say, trust me, trust me, trust me, be patient with me, okay? There were so many things that he just kept like saying over the dream, and I didn't know that I was dreaming at the time. I thought that this was like a real life thing. Obviously, sometimes this is how dreams go. And in this dream, I thought that I was like experiencing this in real life, and I am, in a way. Like, yes, these were all analogies, and I struggle heavily with like trying to take control over things that I really can't control. And I know that a lot of other people struggle with this as well. We're all human beings, and we want to fix things. We're all fixers in our own way, and some people punch buggy black, no punchbacks. We're all fixers in our own way, and my way of fixing things is taking things into my own hands and actually putting in the work to receive. But one of the things that God has been teaching me lately is just like, sit back, let me work, trust me, okay? And I feel like whoever I'm talking to right now, you need to be reminded that you need to sit back, let God work, and trust in his plan. I cannot tell you, I can show you, really, like, the way that God has been working in my life the past 4 months is absolutely insane. He told me to quit my job. I quit my job. I started pursuing real estate full time, and I'm not even fully into it. Like, I literally am just waiting on my license right now so that I can actually get into it, and start selling houses and everything. But I have been receiving more within these 4 months, and I'm talking about financially, spiritually, physically, all of the above, because I took a step back. I was obedient. I followed God's direction, and I stopped asking why. Instead, I started asking how. And the how was, trust me, trust God. The how wasn't get up and go get another job. There were so many times where I was like, God, I really want to go get another job. Like, I want to be working right now. I need to be moving. And God was like, you're working for me. You've always been working for me, and now you're working for me in a clear manner, and you need to follow suit, because you will see the fruits of your labor now. And not even the fruits of my labor, the fruits of his labor. Because God said, take a step back. Look at all the things that are happening around you. Look at all that I've already provided for you thus far. Do you think I'm going to fail you now, when you're actually pursuing me? Intellectually, spiritually, physically, all of the above, and you're not afraid of showing people that you're pursuing me? You think I'm going to fail you now? No, the enemy will speak death over your experience because he doesn't want you receiving what I have for you. Isn't that crazy? I didn't realize that I was struggling for so long because the devil didn't want me to have what God has waiting for me. What God has just only now started giving to me, because I'm open to it. Because I finally started to be obedient enough to receive it in its fullness. Because if God had given this to me 6 months ago, I would have done some terrible things with it. And I know that. And not terrible in the sense of like, I would have actually produced bad fruits with this, but instead I would have not savored it the way that I have been savoring it now. I wouldn't have been confident enough to acknowledge that these things were coming from God, right? But now I know in my entire being, with my entire being, that God is placing me exactly where I'm supposed to be right now, and he is placing you exactly where you're supposed to be, and you need to trust that. You need to stop thinking that the God who loves you so much is going to fail you, right? You failed you over and over and over again, right? But you never failed God, because God already knew that you were going to be who you are, right? And you will be who he needs you to be for his kingdom. Absolutely. And you need to believe that. This is the hardest thing. Like, in our humanness, we struggle so much with this, like, acknowledgement of, okay, it's inevitable. It's inevitable. It's inevitable. Instead, we're like, how is this possible? Because it doesn't make sense. But God doesn't need to make sense because he's God. And that's something that I had to acknowledge, a pill that I had to swallow and savor. Honestly, God doesn't need to make sense. So today could be the last day that I'm living the way that I'm living. And tomorrow I could be living completely differently. And you know what? I know that the way that God is displaying himself in my life, it will supersede every expectation I have for myself. Truly. I can only expect so much because in my humanness, I've only seen so much, right? But I know God, and I know God always exceeds my expectations. He is a miracle worker, and who am I to say that he is not working miracles in my life? Who am I to say that he's not working in yours, right? Who are you to say that? Truly. I know the God that I serve, and I pray that whoever I'm talking to, you come to know him. And if you do know him, you're confident in him. And if you don't know him, you continue to seek him and know that he already knows you. You can come to him flaws and all, and he will do everything with what you have right now. And he will show you the way with what you have right now. He is already displaying it to you through me, right? Thank you, Jesus. He's already displaying it to you. It's not going to make sense at first. And you know, it's so crazy because now that I am where I am, it's like I can acknowledge that the things that God was telling me months ago didn't make sense because I was not the version of me that I am now. But the version of me that I am now, it makes sense to why he told me to do these things. Because I never would have received the things that I have now had I not done those things. Right? But that's the thing. We have to be obedient when it doesn't make sense so that when it does make sense, we are able to give the full glory to the Lord. I could not have done these things on my own. These miracles are not mine. They never will be. No matter how many times God displays these things for me or from me, they will never be mine. They will always be from the Lord. And that's a very powerful thing. God does not want us to succeed silently. This is something that he's been displaying for me heavily. Like, I will not allow you to succeed silently. I'm going to allow you to succeed. I'm going to push you to succeed outwardly, and everybody's going to have to see it because they're going to know that it didn't come from you, that it came from me. They can't think that this is luck anymore. There are a lot of people in my life who thought that I just got lucky. No, I worked hard. And I've had to acknowledge this myself because honestly, for a really long time, I was like, I'm not doing enough. And I felt like I wasn't doing enough up until God was like, take a step back. You've been doing more than enough. I was in fight or flight mode my entire life. And up until a couple weeks ago, I was still in fight or flight mode, but I finally stepped out of it. You are doing enough. Now it's time to do what God is telling you to do. And give him the reins over your experience. And accept that doing that is going to allow everything that he wants for you. All the love, every desire that he's written on your heart to come true. You have to trust that. And not only trust that, but have faith in that. Know that it's possible for you. We have the entire world telling us that everything's impossible. And you know what? The devil breeds fear. And every single person surrounding you believes that these things are impossible for them. And so they will be until they find God. But God's giving you the tool right now. And just acknowledging it is possible for you. And it will come true. Because the Lord is with you. And he loves you. And he wants you. to succeed.